Have you slept in a lab before, Joe?
No, I haven't.
Well, I hope you have a good night's sleep.
This is one of 14,000 sleep experiments that have exploded on campuses all over the nation in the last few years.
Let's finish up here. Maybe you can tell Joe what he'll be doing as far as what he has to know anyway.
Now, these electrodes will register eye movements. These two mainly up and down. The electrodes at the sides of it will register horizontal eye movements. There seem to be a lot of wires, but once you're asleep, you won't notice them.
These electrodes are not used to send current in, but rather to pick up subtle electric changes coming from the muscles that control the eye. What have these eye movements to do with sleep? We have been sleeping for thousands of years, yet, remarkably, it was not until 1953 that a graduate student, Eugene Azarinsky, noticed that while you sleep, a dramatic activity takes place. Your eyes move. These movements were named rapid eye movements, R.E.M, R.E.M for short. You can observe them yourself at night if you stay up and watch a sleeper. Or the rapid eye movements can be recorded on the electroencephalograph, or EEG. And researcher Nathaniel Kleitman wondered, could R.E.M tell us when a person is dreaming? The answer to this seemingly simple question helped to fling open the doors to the closed domain of sleep and dreams. And once inside, we are discovering startling new realities about who we are and how we live, awake or asleep. All over the country as night falls and most of us go to sleep, sleep scientists go to work. Tonight at UCLA, they will storm the citadel of sleep and try to capture a dream. Dr. Kleitman, who pioneered in sleep research at the University of Chicago, is joining a team of investigators gathered here at UCLA to help explore this hidden world with us. Among them is Dr. William DeMent of Stanford University.
Or simply the waking up you can do tonight. You wake him up, that's what you do, you wake him up.
Their first question is, can science predict exactly when you will have a dream? Dr. Alan Jacobson's 11-year-old daughter, Denise, is sleeping in the lab tonight, and the experiment is being conducted by psychiatrist Anthony Kales of UCLA.
The principle's the same. When I wake you up, just try to sit up in bed and tell me whatever was going on before I came in the room, okay? And sometimes you may be thinking about something or dreaming about something, and other times you may not have any thoughts at all before I come in the room. So just take your time and think a little bit once you wake up, and if you have any recall, then let us know.
You think you dream more at home or here in the lab?
Here.
Here?
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Let's check out the electrodes out front here.
All right. Okay, Denise, you can relax.
Denise will be watched electronically to determine during her long night's sleep whether her rapid eye movements will indicate exactly when she is dreaming.
All right, Denise, move your eyes from side to side.
These two pens record eye movements to the left and right, and these two register eye movements up and down. Look up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
In a similar way, changes in brain waves, blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and body temperatures of the sleeping subjects are measured through the EEG and are also clues to the dream state. Although the basic patterns are the same for all normal adults, each sleep record differs subtly and is as personal as a signature.
Okay, you can go to sleep now.
At this point, Denise has been asleep for some time, and her EEG shows that she is finishing the stages of quiet sleep. Her heart rate and blood pressure have been near their lowest point. But now these quiet sleep patterns end, and active sleep begins.
Denise started a rapid eye movement period about 4 or 5 minutes ago. You can see very definite eye movements here. This is the stage of the brainwave activity that is most frequently associated with dream recall. Also, there are a lot of physiological changes that occur during this period, such as irregularity in heart rate, respiration. Here are some more eye movements appearing now fairly regularly here on the EEG. And I'm going to go awaken Denise and see if we can get some recall. Denise, just sit up and try to remember what was going on before I came in.
I was dreaming about school. And I was with this other guy, and I had a new teacher, and I was flunking the grades, and that's all I know.
Can you tell us that again? We can't hear you too well.
I was in school, and I was with just a couple other kids in the room, and I was flunking that grade.
Can you remember anything else about the dream?
No.
Can you remember who gave you the report card, or
No.
any of the exact grades on it?
No.
Just that it what?
It wasn't good.
Wasn't good. Okay, Denise.
So they can tell when we are dreaming. But how often do we dream? Our second subject is Joel. His dream pattern will help us find out.
One of the most striking things about rapid eye movement sleep is the regularity of its occurrence. Rapid eye movements appear on the average of once every 90 minutes throughout the night. The subject has just fallen asleep. It is now 5 minutes of 12. The first rapid eye movement period generally occurs about 60 minutes after the onset of sleep, so we should expect a dream at about 1 o'clock. It is now 5 minutes after 1, which is about 70 minutes after the onset of sleep. The record now indicates that the subject is dreaming. There's a burst of eye movements, which you probably can see. In a few seconds, we will awaken him and see if we can catch a dream. Were you dreaming just then?
Yes.
What about?
Took me back to my high school days. I was at a Shakespeare festival.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking to some kids who were just lost.
They were just lost.
They had just lost
They had just lost.
the competition.
90 minutes after Joel fell back to sleep. According to the prediction, it's time for another dream.
And he had him in a wheelbarrow, that little kid.
In a wheelbarrow?
Yeah, he came up the driveway and he put him in a wheelbarrow and he wheeled him up and he dumped him on my chest. He dumped him on me. I picked him up and I said, what was wrong? And he said, the fellow that had picked him up had put him in the street and it was a hot day and he roasted his goose.
For the man who works at night, the night has eyes that look inward. What draws a man to the sleep watch?
Something about the dream, and I think what really hooked me was hearing my first dream. My greatest enthusiasm was that it would be a way of, quicker way of getting on the royal road to the unconscious that Freud talked about. I heard a lecture by Kleitman. I happened to be a student at the University of Chicago, in which he was posing a question of how do you go to sleep? And it's an intriguing question, intriguing enough to visit his laboratory. And then at that point to see instantly really that there was a new way of studying dreaming. That was the key thing. One sleep record, one eye movement episode, and that's it. Like that. I guess it's like love at first sight.
4:45, about 90 minutes later, and time for a third dream.
Were you dreaming just then?
Yeah.
What about?
I got gone to this upholstery shop to have my car seat repaired. My first impression was that of a dark, I don't know if it was nail, it was a dark sweatshop with 8 men working.
During an average night's sleep, a person has about 4 or 5 dream periods, each around 90 minutes apart. This is not to say that the mind is inactive during the rest of the night, but the REM dream state is special. Although some REM periods may run from 1 to 80 minutes, the average lasts about 20 minutes and may consist of several dreams. But suppose, like Mr. Bates, you're one of those who knows he never dreams.
Hi, Mr. Bates. How are you?
Very good.
How have you been?
Pretty good.
Good. We'll be in this room here tonight. You remember Dr. Jacobson? What we'll be doing with you tonight is just letting you sleep most of the time, but we may wake you up once or twice.
Okay.
And see if anything was going on before we came in the room. If you were thinking of anything or dreaming of anything, or maybe nothing was going on. How have your dreams been lately?
I don't have.
Don't have any?
No,
What happened to them?
I don't know.
How long has it been that way? Since,
What?
you know, you had dreams regularly, would you say?
I don't say. I don't know.
10 years ago, were you having dreams regularly that you could remember?
I think it's been that way about all my life, like that.
Uh-huh. This is Mr. Bates. Mr. Bates, Dr. Kleitman.
Nice to know you. How old are you?
84.
84. He's just a young man. How's that feel now?
Okay.
In the elderly subject, often you see very fast activity during these periods, which makes it harder to distinguish than that of the young adults. But you see here that he's clearly having some eye movements on the record with very fast activity, and we're going to go and awaken him now and see if he has any recall at all. Mr. Bates?
Yeah.
Anything going on before I came in the room?
Yes. I think I was getting ready.
You think you were what?
Getting ready to go to work. I was in New York City in the milk business.
In New York City where?
In the milk business.
Uh-huh. Tell us some more about it.
Well, that's about all of us took. Then somebody hit me on the shoulder.
Somebody hit you on the shoulder?
Yeah.
Were you in the milk business before?
Oh, I used to work at it.
Okay.
When he awakens, will Mr. Bates remember that he had a dream tonight?
Do you remember any dreams at all tonight?
Well, just that one I told him about. That's the only thing I can remember.
That was a pretty good dream, wasn't it?
I guess.
Well, there are many people like you, you know, who say they never dream, but when they come in the lab and we awaken them during these dreaming periods, they're able to recall something.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly the thing you recalled tonight was very clear-cut and seemed to be pretty definite. Do you remember what it was again?
Yeah, I was getting ready to go to work.
Where was that at?
Well, it was partly here in California.
Is that where it was in the dream?
Well, that I can't say. I don't know.
You told us before that it was in New York City. Maybe you forgot about that.
Well, I don't think it wasn't, because I never was in New York.
You never were in New York?
No.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Of course, I've read a lot about town and stuff like that, but I never was in there.
Well, there you are. You visited last night
Yeah.
in your dreams.
Yeah.
Do we dream because we want to or because we must? Sleep scientists are learning that we must, and that we all spend a total of 1.5 to 2 hours of every night dreaming. Morning. Time to get some sleep. That night, time to go to work. And the work tonight concerns how we are affected physically when we dream.
We're going to have an ulcer patient.
And we were quite fortunate. We had some difficulty in getting a subject, but we actually had one right in our own group, and Dr. Wilson is going to be the subject tonight.
Now, did you develop the ulcer before or after you started doing sleep research?
Actually, it was after. I think it was one of the first few nights that I had to stay up all night when I got my ulcer. So tonight I'll be glad to be a subject.
We'll capitalize on it then.
Sleep experiments sometimes require special equipment, like this stomach tube. But surprisingly, this does not prevent the subject from sleeping. The ulcer patient is at the mercy of his emotions and must avoid all stressful situations, or else he will secrete painful gastric acids. So he looks forward to his sleep when, hopefully, he will get relief. But will he? Or will he secrete these very same acids? By means of this experiment, we hope to find out whether there are stressful conditions in our sleep.
We know that people who have ulcers or who have had heart attacks or have heart difficulty, that often the expression is they need a good night's sleep. And yet people do die suddenly in the middle of the night from a heart attack or awaken in the middle of the night with severe pain in their stomach or epigastrium. So really it's a big question as to what is going on when these events are occurring.
The subject is now in his quiet stage of sleep. No dreams, no stress, no secretions in the flask. But once he begins to dream,
The subject is in a rapid eye movement period here with heavy secretion of acid outside in the flask. You can observe there the eyeballs moving back and forth beneath the eyelid.
to all appearances, the dreamer is peaceful and relaxed. But underneath, his stress is so great that his gastric juices secrete as if faced with a daytime emergency. What can he be dreaming about to have caused such a drastic reaction? When awakened during the time of his greatest secretions, he reported to Dr. Kales he was happily dreaming of a party and a trip to Hawaii.
You and I were in the dream. I think we'd been out maybe to a party or something. And I said something about maybe I'd like to go back to Hawaii someday.
If it is not primarily the content of the dreams that causes this stressful body reaction, what does? Studies have shown that for all of us, the dream state is by nature a state of stress. If we don't have ulcers, we don't respond to this stress with gastric secretions. But we do respond in other ways. While we dream, our seemingly quiet bodies are in a state of chemical uproar, in some ways more active than when we are awake. For when we REM, our blood pressure rises sharply, our breathing becomes erratic, adrenaline shoots into our system as it does when we are in a state of daytime emergency or anxiety. The ulcer patient reacts as he does to daytime stress, with gastric secretions. The rest of us do not. But we do each react in our own way to the stress of REMing. Shakespeare said, "To sleep, perchance to dream." Aye, there's the rub. Today we say, to sleep, to dream. No perchance, but plenty of rub. As we develop and begin to live our lives, the content and nature of our dreams take shape. And the interpretation of this content may one day wind up as the subject of long discussions on the analyst's couch. But when do we actually develop the capacity to dream? At birth and even in the womb, the baby already has the physiological equipment with which to dream.
How old is she?
How old is 3 days old.
3 days.
And full-term baby.
Full-term baby.
And everything has been fine.
Everything has been fine.
Dr. Arthur Parmalee and his associates at UCLA have shown that at birth, about 50% of an infant's sleep time is REM, or the dream type of sleep. During the next few years after birth, the primitive REM period is reduced to about 20% of sleep time and remains that way for most of one's adult life.
This baby is now in a special state of sleep called rapid eye movement sleep or active sleep. And in this sleep, the respirations are irregular. The heart rate is irregular, as you see by this wavy line. The chin muscle activity is down, is minimal. There are eye movements, and the electroencephalogram tends to be flat. The baby is now going into quiet sleep with more regular respiration.
According to Dr. Parmalee, the way in which a baby switches back and forth from REM to the quiet stages of sleep may be a clue to normal or abnormal development at a time when a baby does little but sleep and there is much other behavior to check. If REM sleep is so basic to life, and it has been found to exist even in most animals, what will happen if we are deprived of it? This is Joel's second night at the lab, and the question is, can man safely be totally deprived of his dream?
Awaken you a number of times tonight, and we have a specific purpose in mind, but in order that you not, in a sense, distort the results by your own expectations, I can't tell you exactly what we're doing, but essentially we're doing a study of the effect of disturbing sleep. So, and after this is over, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So please don't be offended at anything that happens.
Oh.
Joel will be allowed to get his full quota of quiet sleep, but he will be awakened just before he begins to REM, and at no time tonight will he be allowed to dream.
And this means the onset of rapid eye sleep right here. Already 15 seconds have elapsed. We must interrupt the period right away. Were you dreaming just then?
No.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Were you asleep?
I think so.
Can you remember anything?
No.
Do you think you were dreaming when I woke you up?
No.
You feel sure you weren't?
Don't think so.
Okay. Go back to sleep. If we keep these awakenings up throughout the remainder of the night, this will curtail the REM sleep time by about 90% or maybe even 95%. And then we go in and awaken the subject and keep him awake by some sort of inane conversation for 2 or 3 minutes, and then allow him to go back to sleep. And the reason for this is if you don't get him fully awake and keep him awake for a minute or two, then he will go immediately back into REM sleep. We'll immediately have to awaken him again. Are you widely awake?
Well, I shift into it.
Try to make the best of it. It's a patriotic thing to do.
Right.
Can you say, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers?
Can we talk about it later?
All right. Were you dreaming just then?
No.
Are you certain?
I don't think I will.
What is 13 times 27?
I don't know.
Go back to sleep. As Shakespeare said, some must watch while some must sleep. We're the watchers, and in order to study normal sleep, we must watch at night. Well, it's fatiguing, it can be depressing, it can make you a little bit psychotic. I used to have I would actually get, I think, after maybe 3 or 4 days of sleep loss, actually get paranoid in a sense. That is, begin to feel that people were sort of plotting against me, and have this feeling, and at the same time know absolutely perfectly well that it was not true. But for the sleep researcher, it's really a condition of both sensory and social isolation. He is alone at night. I would say either we are very dedicated or we are all schizoid. I don't know.
As the night goes on, Joel's need to dream becomes overwhelming. By dawn, he must be awakened every 15 minutes to prevent him from dreaming.
Were you dreaming just then? No?
Experiments like this have gone on for as many as 15 consecutive nights, and the number of awakenings needed to prevent REM got as high as 20 an hour.
I don't know whether it was conscious or dreaming.
Were you dreaming just then? Joel? Were you dreaming just then? You sure? Okay, stay awake for a minute. Are you awake?
Marked signs of psychological disturbance appeared: anxiety, irritation, suspicion. Was this due just to loss of sleep? No. Other subjects were awakened just as frequently, but not in REM periods. Their daytime reactions showed clearly that it was the loss of REM, rather than the awakenings, that led to these disturbances. When the subjects finally were allowed a full night's sleep, they spent much of that sleep REMing to make up for their REM loss. What happens to a person who is totally deprived of his dreams? As yet, the search for an answer has proven to be too dangerous to pursue.
We began to suspect that we're inducing personality changes in the subjects and have discontinued these experiments until we are more certain of what REM sleep deprivation actually does. In order to clarify this, we have begun to do these experiments in cats and hope to get sufficient information that will enable us to carry on the studies in humans, subjects, safely, and to work on the problem of whether or not the deprivation of rapid eye movement sleep has anything to do with the onset of major mental illness or other related conditions.
Does REM help preserve our brittle balance of sanity? This is just one of many crucial questions now under investigation by sleep researchers. Questions as yet unanswered. Will we one day be able to alter our sleep and dream cycles to help those in physical or mental need? How do different drugs affect this cycle? Will we one day change man's age-old 24-hour schedule of sleep and wakefulness? Today, we are witness to a revolution in self-knowledge, with possibilities as yet barely conceived. For we have all been strangers that we spend asleep. And what we are now learning about that sleeping third of our lives may reveal new truths about our waking moments.